America doesn't feel safe anymore. You know it, I know it, and the headlines prove it. What used to be rare, senseless attacks in broad daylight, innocent people murdered by repeat offenders, has become disturbingly common. And the worst part? The people in charge, the same Democrats who love to talk about justice reform and equity, are the ones fueling this disaster. Take a step back. Just this past week, two tragedies shocked the country. On September 10th, Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist, husband and father, was shot dead during what should have been a peaceful debate at Utah Valley University. No shouting match, no mob, just civil conversation, until violence ripped it apart. Then just 2 days before, on September 8th, Iryna Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee who fled war for safety here, was stabbed to death on a Charlotte light rail. Her killer, a man with 14 prior charges, released by a Democrat-appointed magistrate who thought giving criminals another chance mattered more than protecting innocent women. These aren't isolated stories. They're the new normal under leftist policies. And Americans are noticing. Elon Musk posted after Kirk's murder, "The left has become the party of murder," quoting investor Sean McGuire. That single post exploded with over 31 million views because it hit the truth everyone's afraid to say out loud. When Democrats play politics with crime, blood is spilled. But here's the question you should ask yourself. Why are decent people, the hard-working, law-abiding ones, being sacrificed while criminals get free passes? Why is it always the family man, the young mother, the refugee, the patriot, the veteran? Why are the protectors punished and the predators protected? This isn't just crime. This is a political choice, and it's costing Americans their lives. The murder of Iryna Zarutska tells you everything about where we are as a country. She escaped bombs in Ukraine, thinking America would be safer. Instead, she was killed on public transit by a man who should have been behind bars long ago. 14 priors. 14. Yet he was cut loose by a Democrat-appointed magistrate who thought restorative justice meant gambling with innocent lives. Her death wasn't just a tragedy, it was preventable. And people know it. Charlie Kirk himself posted about Iryna just days before his own death. He wrote, "This is what happens when Democrat judges value ideology over safety. A woman who survived Putin's war couldn't survive Charlotte's broken justice system." That post racked up over 211,000 likes because it exposed the gut-punch truth. The left has turned justice into roulette, and the casualties are always ordinary people. North Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore didn't mince words either. He blasted the magistrate who released Iryna's killer, saying, "This judge must be removed immediately." That post shot to 141,000 likes because Americans are done with excuses. They're tired of politicians who let criminals roam free while preaching about compassion. Compassion for who? The repeat offender who slaughters a mother on her way home? Or the citizens trying to live without fear? Meanwhile, the left shrugs. They call it systemic reform. They say prisons are too full, but the streets are filling with blood because of their decisions. And here's the irony. They claim to stand for the vulnerable, the marginalized, the immigrant. Yet Iryna was all of that, and they still failed her. So ask yourself, how many more Americans have to die before Democrats admit their policies are a death sentence? Then came the shockwave that rattled conservatives everywhere, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He wasn't storming the streets. He wasn't leading a protest. He was standing at a podium in Utah, calmly debating ideas when a gunman silenced him forever. For years, the left mocked him, threatened him, smeared him, but no one thought it would come to this. Now it has. The reaction online shows the divide in this country. Elon Musk's post calling the left the party of murder, quoting Sean McGuire, hit over 31 million views. And why? Because people know this isn't random. They've watched violence against conservatives get brushed aside, while hysteria is whipped up anytime a left-wing figure gets criticized. And while Kirk's wife and kids grieve, some on the left actually celebrate it. One viral post mocked his death by referencing an Addison Rae song. Another sneered, "Reap what you sow." Imagine the cruelty. A man is murdered, and instead of compassion, you get gloating. That's what unchecked political hate looks like. But it wasn't all darkness. Conservative voices pushed back hard. Author Deborah Lee's tribute to Kirk's family. He gave his life fighting for truth. May his family find peace in the strength he carried every day, pulled nearly 100,000 likes. People wanted hope in the face of hate. They wanted to rally around something bigger than the violence. Even Jeremy Clarkson, a British columnist, admitted, if a man can be gunned down on stage for his beliefs, then free speech is dead. His post only had 77K likes, but it struck a chord, because that's the chilling reality. When bullets replace debate, freedom dies with it. So here's the hard truth. Kirk's murder wasn't just about one man. It was about silencing an entire movement. What happened to Charlie Kirk and Iryna Zarutska isn't just about two tragedies. It's about a culture that rewards chaos. Think about it. For years, Democrats push policies that sound nice on paper but destroy safety in practice. Defund the police, end cash bail, reimagine justice. These slogans became law in city after city, state after state. And what did we get? Police departments gutted, judges cutting criminals loose, and neighborhoods drowning in fear. Look at New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. Repeat offenders walk free before the ink is dry on their arrest papers. ICE detainers, meant to keep violent illegal immigrants locked up, are ignored by Democrat-run cities. The results? American citizens pay the price. Just last month, 22-year-old Dakara Thompson was murdered by an illegal immigrant who had already been flagged by ICE but released anyway. How many more names will join that list before Democrats take responsibility? It's not just statistics, it's a message. The message is that law-abiding citizens don't matter, that criminals and political extremists are somehow the victims. That's how you end up with left-wing accounts laughing at Charlie Kirk's murder or defending the judge who released Zarutska's killer. It's moral rot, plain and simple. Meanwhile, conservatives speaking out are treated like they're the problem. When Elon Musk called out the left as the party of murder, the media accused him of spreading division. Division? He was pointing at the bodies piling up because of reckless policies. You don't get more united than wanting to keep your family alive. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about survival. Do you get to ride the subway, walk your kids to school, attend a debate, without wondering if you'll make it home? The answer is no. Political violence isn't just rising. It's being normalized. You can feel it in the air. Every time a conservative speaks out, threats pour in online. Every rally, every event, there's that undercurrent of danger. And instead of condemning it, too many on the left wink and nod. They call it punching up. They say it's just accountability. But when someone like Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, those jokes don't look so funny anymore. We've seen this movie before. Remember the baseball field shooting that nearly killed Rep. Steve Scalise? Or the man caught outside Justice Kavanaugh's home with a weapon? Each time, the media downplayed it, spinning excuses. But when a left-wing figure so much as gets booed, suddenly it's a threat to democracy. That hypocrisy is exactly why Elon Musk's post blew up to 31 million views, because people are sick of the double standard. And let's not forget the streets. Ordinary citizens are targets too. A Trump supporter in Portland was gunned down in 2020. Pro-life activists have been harassed, doxxed, even attacked at clinics. Now a Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte gets stabbed to death by a criminal the system protected. The thread is clear. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, under Democrat rule, you're on your own. Jeremy Clarkson said after Kirk's death, if a man can be gunned down on stage for his beliefs, then free speech is dead. He's right. When violence replaces debate, when fear silences voices, democracy isn't being protected, it's being buried. So ask yourself this. If speaking your mind comes with a death sentence, how free are we really? Here's what makes this even more infuriating. The people cheering these policies on will never pay the price themselves. The politicians live behind gates with taxpayer-funded security details. The celebrities who preach about abolishing prisons fly home to mansions in safe, guarded neighborhoods. It's you, the working mom, the college student, the small business owner, who gets stuck riding the subway next to a career criminal or walking through a city where cops have been told to stand down. And when tragedy strikes, the media bends over backward to spin it. With Charlie Kirk's death, outlets rushed to downplay the political motive. With Iryna Zarutska's murder, they buried the fact that her killer had 14 priors and was released by a Democrat magistrate. If the script had been flipped, If the victim had been a progressive activist, you'd see wall-to-wall coverage, candlelight vigils, celebrity tributes. But because it's conservatives or ordinary citizens, suddenly it's just an isolated incident. That's why people turn to X for the truth. Viral posts cut through the noise. Deborah Lee's tribute to Kirk's family. He gave his life fighting for truth. May his family find peace in the strength he carried every day. Pulled nearly 100,000 likes because it honored a man the mainstream media couldn't wait to forget. Tim Moore's call to remove the judge in Zarutska's case hit 141,000 likes because Americans are desperate for accountability. And Charlie Kirk's own words about Iryna, days before his own murder, still echo louder than any spin job. Democrats put ideology above safety, and real people pay the price. It's not just that America feels unsafe, it's that the system is rigged to make sure you stay unsafe, while those responsible pat themselves on the back for being progressive. Let's be clear, this isn't happening by accident. The left created this mess step by step. They pushed defunding police while cities burned. They rammed through no-bail laws so criminals walk right back out the door. They ignore ICE detainers, letting violent illegal immigrants roam free. And when the inevitable happens, when people like Iryna Zarutska are murdered, they shrug and call it systemic reform. The hypocrisy is staggering. These are the same Democrats who scream about gun control every time there's a tragedy. But when Charlie Kirk is murdered on stage, where's the outrage? Where's the call for justice? Instead, you see smug posts online mocking his death, like the one twisting Addison Rae lyrics for laughs. That's not justice. That's hate dressed up as politics. Meanwhile, conservatives are fighting for basic safety. They're the ones demanding tougher sentencing for repeat offenders. They're the ones backing ICE cooperation, so criminals flagged for deportation don't end up on your street. They're the ones standing up for police who've been smeared and defunded into silence. And the public gets it. Elon Musk's post blasting the left as the party of murder didn't hit 31 million views because people are bored. It hit because Americans see the pattern. Democrat policies make neighborhoods more dangerous, courts more chaotic, and free speech more deadly. At some point, you have to ask, is this incompetence or is it deliberate? Because when every decision makes life worse for law-abiding citizens and easier for criminals, it doesn't look like an accident. It looks like an agenda. But here's the difference. Republicans aren't just pointing fingers, they're laying out solutions. President Trump has been blunt. Under his leadership, ICE will no longer be handcuffed by blue city politicians. Federal agencies will cooperate fully to remove violent, illegal immigrants before they harm another American. He's also vowed to restore law and order in cities that have become crime havens, with federal oversight to hold soft-on-crime judges accountable. This isn't theory, it's a roadmap. End no-bail policies. Tougher sentencing for violent repeat offenders. Give police back the funding and respect they deserve. Rebuild ICE partnerships so foreign criminals don't get a free pass. And most importantly, stop treating political violence as speech. Threats, assaults, assassinations, these aren't protests, they're crimes, and they need to be punished like crimes. Meanwhile, Republican governors are already showing the way. In states like Florida and Texas, crime rates are lower because the law actually means something. Sanctuary cities are banned. Police are empowered. Citizens know their leaders are on their side, not siding with the thugs. Imagine if that approach wasn't the exception, but the rule across America. Even ordinary people online are pushing for change. Posts mourning Charlie Kirk and Iryna Zarutska aren't just grief, they're fuel for action. They're proof that Americans are tired of being told to live in fear while elites excuse the chaos. The bottom line? Republicans want America to be a country where a dad can attend a debate, a refugee can ride the train, and a kid can walk to school, without wondering if today's the day they don't come home. Isn't that the bare minimum every government should guarantee? The truth is, America has been here before. In the 1970s, violent crime spiked, cities crumbled, and people lost faith in their leaders. What turned it around? A shift toward tough policing, stronger sentencing, and a refusal to let criminals run the show. It wasn't easy, but it worked. Families finally felt safe again. Jeremy Clarkson's words after Charlie Kirk's assassination summed it up perfectly. If a man can be gunned down on stage for his beliefs, then free speech is dead. That's the reality Americans feel every time they think twice before posting online, every time they skip a public event because it doesn't feel safe, every time they wonder if speaking up could cost them their job or their life. Look around. Parents are scared to let their kids take public transit. Students are scared to speak in classrooms dominated by political hostility. Even journalists like Clarkson admit they're afraid to write honestly anymore. That's not freedom. It's quiet surrender to chaos. But Americans aren't wired to surrender. That's why posts like Deborah Lee's tribute to Kirk's family blow up with nearly 100,000 likes. That's why Tim Moore's demand to remove a corrupt judge strikes a nerve with over 141,000. Because deep down, people know the solution isn't silence, it's strength. The question is, will enough Americans decide to reclaim that strength at the ballot box before it's too late? Here's the choice staring America in the face. On one side, a Democrat Party that shrugs at murder, excuses repeat offenders, and fuels political hate until people like Charlie Kirk end up dead. On the other, a Republican movement demanding justice, security, and accountability. It's that simple. Either we keep heading down the path of chaos, or we fight to restore safety and order. Charlie Kirk and Iryna Zarutska never met, but their deaths tell the same story. A conservative family man silenced for his beliefs. A refugee who thought she was safe here, only to be killed by a criminal the system protected. Both were ordinary people who deserve to live in peace. Both are now symbols of a broken America that can be fixed only by changing course. And don't forget the voices rising up in response. Elon Musk's 31 million view post calling out the left as the party of murder. Tim Moore demanding corrupt judges be removed. Deborah Lee honoring Kirk's family with words of strength. These aren't just posts, they're warnings and rallying cries. The American people are awake, and they're not buying the excuses anymore. Trump has already pledged what needs to be done: restore ICE enforcement, crack down on repeat offenders, put federal oversight on out-of-control crime zones, and protect free speech from violent threats. That's not politics, that's survival, and it's the only way forward. America has always been strongest when ordinary people stand up and say enough. We've done it before. We'll do it again. Vote Republican, take back our safety, and prove that senseless violence has no place in this country. Because the promise of America is not fear, it's freedom. And freedom is worth fighting for.